So it's still the 25th. Only now the time is about 20 minutes to 8 o'clock. And I'm going out to get the trail cam, which I set up to photograph the sky and take pictures 7-minute intervals. I could have left it running all night, but kind of no point really. If it was a clear night or a full moon maybe, but there is serious clouds out at the moment. It's almost dark. It's this kind of real twilight time. It'll be dark in 15 minutes. But the clouds, it's like really snowy kind of weather. I should have brought the camera. This is really need a good camera to take a picture of this. It's like a lot of Vox and lure have disappeared into the clouds. And if I look behind toward Lure and the village Lure, you can't see anything. It's just a big blanket of grey. Could call it kind of Irish weather. There's actually, maybe it's kind of a sense memory, but I find it very easy right now to remember the smell of chimneys. That probably goes back to childhood. This type of weather on a November evening, or a January evening, or even a March evening. And all the smoke from the chimneys kind of gets reflected back down by the low clouds. It's got that feel about it. But of course it's incredibly artistic in its own way. It adds such a different atmosphere. Today was a strange kind of day. I went out around 1 to put the camera out, and then kind of spent all the afternoon really just kind of lounging around the living room with Flo. She's very into her yoga, and she's doing some kind of live streaming yoga classes, which she's into, and I've been getting back into Jung and reading his chapter on individuation, which I really like. I really like the idea of the consciousness being the ego. The unconscious part is, let's go this way, Tuga, let's go for a bit of a walk, is there in all kinds of shapes and forms. It's that thing you can't quite put your finger on when you want to do something artistic or whatever. The conscious part is manifested through the ego, but there is all the unconscious part. And the idea is to try and have everything working together as much as possible. And I love what Jung says about religion. He says, in a sense, it doesn't really matter what the religion is. It's just a case that you worship a higher authority. You surrender to a higher authority, which may well be your own higher self. That higher self where the conscious and the unconscious are working together, where you're acting as a unit. Okay, Tuko, let's go this way. Let's go this way. Yeah, we can't go too far because like Flo said, it really is going to get dark quite soon here, especially with all these clouds. So I need to go down and pick up that camera and then start coming back. Although I've got a torch, doesn't really matter if it gets dark, to be honest. I had a question, should I set the camera up somewhere else? Or should I bring home what we've got? I don't know. Let's keep it in mind. Yeah, I haven't been that lucky in setting it up and catching anything much. Good boy, Tuco. So that's the way the afternoon went. It brought me to nearly 8 o'clock. If I'm not wrong, the clocks go forward in this weekend. This time next week, it'll be bright now, and if it's a sunny day, it'll be very bright at 8 o'clock. It's going to be a change. It's going to really stretch the evenings. March 25th. I also hung my 4 little pictures up after all the years of wanting to do 4, and I wanted to do maybe another painting. If not today, maybe tomorrow, because today, well, at 8 o'clock, 9, 10, that's kind of time for me to settle down. And was there something I wanted to get something about Young. So I think I'm going to bring the camera home. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I could always set it up in the house to take some pictures. This is a great spot here. I've got this big tree. A tree that's been cut down right in front of me, and you just can't miss the spot here. Here it is. So let's take it. Doesn't really matter that it's not switched off, because it's taking a picture every 7 minutes. So I could actually up. Well, we go back the way we came, Tuco. Hey. Could actually tie it here. Maybe that's not the best thing, huh? Every 7 minutes, I'm going to take a picture. Well, it's dark now, so it's not going to take too much of a picture. Is it? Ah! Good boy, Tuco. is it? The earth is getting soft again here with the rain. Soft and mucky. I think we're adapting quite well to this situation for me and Flo. I was kind of trying to say to Flo, it's good that you get told to do this, because it's a nice break, and if there was any other way that you took this, you'd be feeling guilty probably, even if you're supposed to be on holidays. But when there's no choice, you don't have that kind of nagging voice from the conscience, you know, so you can relax about the Connemara. I haven't really thought about it. There's nothing we can do about it. Everybody's in the same situation. It doesn't bother me. And after a few days you get used to the fact that you're not going to go to the Connemara every day like normal, and you settle into another type of routine. Hello, Tuco. Another type of routine. It's starting to rain. Fairly heavy. I'm trying to hold this little device so that it doesn't get wet. This way, Tuco. Hello. We're not going for a long walk, Tuco. It's getting dark by the minute. No, there's no point. He'd like to go that way. No, Tuco. It's getting dark by the minute. You needn't be hitting your head off my ankles. It's raining, it's cold, and it's going to be dark in about 5 minutes. Look at the lights in Vox and Villeneuve. They've just come alive, like they've just been switched on actually. I didn't see any lights on my way out. Hello! Oh, it's an amazing evening. It's cold and miserable, but it's still very, it's very unique. Speaking of the unconscious, I keep having this desire to go in there to the river, like on a day like this, find some shelter, if that was possible, and build a fire. I keep going on about I want to build a fire outside. I want to build a fire in the open. I want to get warm around fire. Hear maybe a fox or something in the distance. Maybe even see a fox. Have the fire going. Hear the rain but feel warm. Be outside but feel warm. And I'm having a kind of nostalgic throwback to the times we had fires in the open at home, and the only time that ever happened was Halloween. The only time was really Halloween. Each Halloween growing up there was a big bonfire in what we call the playground or the field or whatever. And I remember that fire when it would burn down a little bit, or even before. Even if the weather was freezing, which it often was, once you were around that fire, you'd just heat up really quickly, and it heated up the whole, the surrounding grass and the field. You could sit down. So that's something that's kind of an unconscious urge, to start a fire and be outside. So I don't really know any reason for that, but been there for quite a lot. You alright, Tuco? He's sniffing in the grass. feel my hands. Good boy. I can feel my hands starting to freeze. And I'm wearing gloves. So this could go below 0 tonight. Although I like the heat and the sun, because we get so much of it here, I have developed a special appreciation for the cold. We don't get too much of it. And so when it happens, I don't know, it's just my mind goes back to all those old cowboy movies where the mountain guys are trying to live in the snow, in the huts. Strange to have an urge to do some camping or something in this weather. There's just a little bit of visibility. And by the time we get back, it'll be just about dark. But still, Tuco will be happy at his walk. And I think I'll be happy to settle down with a cup of tea in the heat of the computer room. That's the kind of thing that it makes me more able to handle the evening, when you break up the day like this somehow. When you're out and you get cold and wet, and then you really look forward to getting back. And it took off. Picture here. I'm walking down the street and the lights are on, the street lights, and there's a lovely reflection of the rainwater on the ground, and it's dead quiet, no traffic. Biggest change. I'll let you go, no traffic. Oh well, I shall bid goodbye to the 25th outside anyway. I don't think I'm going to be coming out anymore today. Tomorrow we'll be out again. Probably setting the camera up again. I'll let you go. I'm walking by the garages and the small tractor. Heading toward the house. Goodbye, Tuco. There are two cars sitting here. They've never had such a break. The red car and the white car. Okay, Tuco, how about that? We just made it in before the real dark kicked in, huh? Allez. Good dog. We won't play with the ball in the rain and the muck, Tuco. Is that okay? Good dog. Okay, I'm going to switch off. Adios. We're on. Okay. I think it's the 25th of March. I think it's the 25th of March. It's a Wednesday. And it's 15 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. And we got a lovely cloudy, bushy sky. There you go, I just made that up. And so I'm going to set the trail cam up, and we're going to do a shot every 15 minutes. And that's 4 pictures. It's going to be enough. 4 pictures in an hour, because let's say it's going to be dark at 8. Let's say I've got 7 hours. 4 sevens. It's not enough. I need to set it for more. So let's say I set it for 10 minutes. Maybe I'll do that. That's about 6 an hour. 6 an hour multiplied by 7. How about 5? 10, 15. That'd be 12 an hour. 8. That'd be about 100. Somewhere in between that. 7 minutes maybe. Anyway, what useless twaddling. Sorry about that. Recording. Yes, I am. I can't see the light. I can't see the red light. So the 25th of March, in the middle of this bizarre time of kind of quarantine, I was online last night, and I was, in order to amuse myself, I did what I sometimes do. This way, Tuco. Allez! I type in something, and then I go to upload it in the last hour of the last day, you know, and I typed in coronavirus and end of times and Jesus, and I, you know, to get all the crazy. And I commented on a few things. Got into a discussion with one guy who seemed to be kind of actually 2 guys who are ministers in America. It's interesting. It's also kind of strange, because some of the guys are quite intelligent, well-spoken guys, and you kind of wonder how they can not think above the well, just the contradictions and the lowness of some of the religious stuff they're reading. You know, the vengeance, the cruelty, the hatred, and the lack of anything higher than man in some of these stupid teachings. But the guys seem quite intelligent. And then another guy's all into the conspiracy theory. He doesn't believe there is such a thing as coronavirus. He thinks it's all some kind of government elite. These are always the elite things. Where did I put this camera last time? Because I really had a good spot. Was it here? Can it be seen there? It's very... I'm going to switch off for a minute here while I look for a spot. Now we're on number 2 already, huh? I kind of wiped this clean the other day. Well, I didn't wipe it clean. I downloaded the files onto the laptop. They're there somewhere for prosperity. God, I've been thinking about my discussions with people last night, and sometimes it's kind of aggressive. People don't like being in any sense corrected, and in a sense I could say, who am I to correct? It's not like I know much. And I was thinking of going back and reading a bit of Jung to try and understand more about people's motivations and the ego, to learn more about my ego, my motivations. Because I'm a bit conflicted. On the one hand, you could say, why don't you just leave all these people alone? I think in the Bible Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. That's something else I keep meaning to do, is read the Bible again. Because there's certain things I remember, but maybe there's more stuff there that that could be useful to me, and it's not maybe as commonly used as some of the other quotes. So I did start reading John, but some of it's also familiar, and you get kind of bored with it quickly, but I should persist. Anyway, so I'm thinking, Ali Tuko, where's the rabbit? I'm thinking, should I leave well alone and let these people go on their merry ways? Is life subjective? Is everybody entitled to an opinion? Well, I feel that's true to a certain level, but if it's affecting people, and if it's affecting young people and impressionable people, and causing them to become more stressed than they need be, then yes, it is a problem. And so, like I said to Flo, I'm conflicted, because on the one hand, I like to leave that comment that's there with the hope that occasionally someone will come across it that may be on the fence about this stuff, and just like that, maybe think, oh wow, I can actually think the other way as well. I don't have to follow this conspiratorial line. There's other people out there that are thinking this is not right, and intuitively it feels like the right thing to do. Maybe the wrong thing to do is to get personal with people. I do try not to. But maybe the wrong thing to do is when people reply to me, then it becomes some kind of it's like a duel, you know. It's like two people with the skinny fencing. It's like fencing. When someone says something to me, I feel obliged to hit the ball back, and maybe it's at that point I should stop and let them say whatever they want and not really engage in that kind of a conversation. Just leave my remark there as plain and as neutral, in a sense. Neutral in that I'm not really trying to attack the guy doing the video, because that's something I do far too much. I attack the person. If there was a way of leaving a more neutral comment that someone can look at and say, which is neutral in terms of I'm not attacking anybody, but it goes completely against the message they're sending out. You know, the great purge, the end of days, the global elites, whoever they are, all this kind of stuff. But on a more interesting note, then, I question my own ego. What makes me, what goes off in the brain that gives that nice little lift when you think you have said something cleverer than the guy you're saying it to? What is it? Because that's the dilemma. You know, Jesus had to give his message out. He had to give his points, even though it kind of it ran against the grain of all the prevalent religious thinking perhaps of the time. And he did call people hypocrites once in a while, but in a way he was able to get his point across. It's that kind of Socratic parable way where you're clever enough to make a point in such a way that people can't really come back. To make your point in as peaceful a way as possible. would be a good thing. And so one has to put the message out, so it's nothing wrong with, I feel. I think it's better to say something than to just ignore everything if you feel like you've got a point to make. Because there may be one or two souls that kind of come onto that later on who can be affected by it, who knows. But I'd still like to maybe go back to Jung's earlier stuff and try and find out more about the inner workings of people, especially myself. What makes us... Tuco, this way. Tuco, allez. That's annoying, isn't it? Tuco, allez. Allez. Tuco. He's a bastard. Allez, up. Kind of lucky. We're just happened to be going into the river bed at that point. Good boy. Nuisance. Allez. Now I need to tie my lace. Yeah, I have a Jung book. I'll look at it when I get back. Let's see what it says. Tie my lace to go. Again. The gloves. It's a bit mucky. Can we get over here without getting this stupid thing to do? Yeah, probably. Hey, we did it without getting full enough. Can you guess where we are? Can you pick up that sound? — 9 minutes and 15 seconds so far talking. I guess we probably, to a greater extent, will always find ourselves an enigma. That kind of case of, when you find one answer, it raises two more questions. It's that symbolism of the peeling the onion. You never really get to the center. Although, to be honest, technically, an onion has a finite amount of skins, even no matter how thinly you peel them, so it's not really true. You do get to the center of the onion if you keep going long enough. So I sometimes like to think think of myself as being detached and not getting involved in the emotions of anger or whatever, that the kind of irritation, and also that sense of, you wouldn't call it euphoria, but a certain kind of sneaking pride when you think you've said something very clever. I really wish I could, some of those things are nice to enjoy, But I wish I could, because I'm not really at all as distant as I'd like to think. You know, as soon as somebody comes back to me and says something, especially if it's intelligent, I do get kind of upset. That was me just lifting up a big, interesting looking piece of wood and dropping it into the water. Yeah, I get well, I get affected, you know. Oh boy, very thorny stuff here. In spite of how much I'd like not to be. Like, I'd like to be able to kind of glide above all this stuff and not let my ego get affected by it. Make the points and think, well, that's as good a point as I can make. That's as much intelligence and, if you call it, that's as wise as I can be. There may be people out there wiser, and maybe the guy that's answering me back is, I might intuitively feel that he's got a point. I'd like to think if that's the case, I will acknowledge that. And I think I do, to be honest with myself. I acknowledge when someone says something interesting. But it's difficult. Like last night, after all those comments, I kind of spent the whole evening going through people's videos and leaving comments, and I tell you, at some points I was feeling like an asshole. You know, I had to stop myself and say, why you, I mean, you know, for some videos you just go, why would you bother commenting on them? And I stopped. And then some other ones I said things which I thought, especially with the one about Jesus, when he comes, I hope you'll be the first to go. And I thought, that's kind of nasty. Even if the guy doesn't know what I mean, I know what I mean, and I get maybe, but again, if you believe in some kind of higher power, you think, well, there is a point to what you just said with that comment, and maybe you get to the point that the guy doesn't really want to go, and this is all some kind of teenage fascination. But with a lot of videos, I just think, who am I to be passing any kind of judgment? If I could word things properly, that's what I said to Flo. If she could word things properly, I wouldn't get annoyed sometimes. The same goes for me. If I could put something in as neutral a way as possible, and it's literally like, okay, that's all you guys' opinion here on this thread, but this is just another opinion, and I'm not calling anybody out, and I'm not calling anybody names, and I'm not commenting on how stupid anyone is. I'm just making an alternative point. Because last night I went to bed and I really didn't feel too good about the comments I'd made, I think. Ah, Tuco. Tuco, that's Turco. That's your friend. That's your best friend. Who's that? Who's that? That's your friend. Bonjour.
Salut Tuco. Bonjour à tes sœurs. Hein? T'en fais tout ça, t'en fais tout tranquille. Oh là là. Bonne journée.
Bonne journée. Allez Tuco. That your friend. What's around me? Let's see the dog Turco. Woo! In a sense, Flo says that I match my dog, but in a way he is the worst kind of dog for a person like me at those moments, because I don't really like any kind of social interactions. I mean, I don't, just the quick hello and stuff, but I hate causing a fuss. I hate noise. I'm getting like my dad. I can't even handle any kind of music or anything playing in the house. I just kind of like the sound of my own voice, basically. That's the most calming thing I know of. It's just me waffling on. I just find that kind of calming. But a dog like Tuco, who goes breaking the silence and barking aggressively, or not, at strangers, is like the worst thing for an introverted, quiet person like me. It's kind of the last thing I want to do is kind of make noise and draw attention to myself with the dog, you know. So I'd like to go back to Jung and read some stuff. Actually, I can listen to some stuff. There's tons of audio files online about him. I did listen to some stuff before. It's very interesting. It kind of can take you. It can become, because I've been looking for something to distract me on YouTube, and I can't really find anything. I watched a documentary on Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young last night, which was interesting. But if I could get back into Young and start listening to some of these long audio lectures, that might keep me busy for a few days. Because that can happen with certain things. You get on a roll of something like that, and you end up going through quite a bit of material for a few days. I might do that. The thing about Jung is that you can read and you can think, oh, I understand what he means, but you can be just so off in your interpretations. That's what I'm always kind of aware of. You've got to find an interpretation that kind of makes sense and is going to be of some help. So if you learn something and it gets you to stop a snap reaction when somebody else is affecting your ego, then that would be a very good use of Jung. But if it starts giving you a kind of, I don't know, a messianic complex where you think you know everything about everybody just by their actions, then it's not really a good thing. A lot of people get very pretentious when they start studying stuff like that. They get kind of sucked up into their own ego. And it is only ideas and stuff to try and help gain a deeper understanding of human nature. Where are we now? 15 minutes? I think Flo is listening to one of Satguru's daily broadcasts, I think. The temperature has risen considerably. It's very calm where I'm walking, but I'm sheltered a bit, but there's no breeze, but it's warm. At least it's a very comfortable temperature. Yesterday it was freezing. We got snow on the hills over the night. We're going to have more barking any second. There we go. Tuco. Tuco. Got to keep my social distancing here. Don't walk those knees. Bonjour, elle est gentille, just beaucoup de... Many times have I said that. See, that's Tuco, he scared people. Little bully. He's a cranky dog. When he's out like this, just look at his face, very cranky. "25th of March, I think I said that. I know I said it already. I'm just emphasizing the date, 2020. It must be, well, what time here is it? 20 minutes recording here and about 10 minutes earlier, 30 minutes. So 1:45. It's about 1:45, maybe closer to 2. Don't worry, it's not a dry cough. Surreal times a little bit. The only thing for me, really, on a kind of selfish note, is that there's this center part of the day, if you like, which goes from around 2 o'clock to 7 or 8. And it's normally the time, well, actually, no, it's the time we'll be up. It's normally on days like this, there is at least, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours taken up by the Connemara, which leaves just about the same amount, a bit more, for us being home, and also, of course, the time you're sleeping. So there's basically, what I'm trying to say in the longest possible winded way, is that I normally have less time here, and it is just a case of I would walk back from the Connemara. I would get here, depending on when I left, maybe sometimes as late as 4, and then I would walk Tuco, and then I would have a snack, kind of toast or something, and it's like after 5, very quick, and then I might have a nap, or I just kind of sit down and watch my phone for a while, and then it's time to go back to work, back to the Connemara. And we arrive at 7, and you're there till, let's say, on average 10. Let's go across this way, Tuco. And then for me, that's like it's a perfect breakdown of the day, because coming back at 10 and going to the computer room and turning on the laptop, that's just about right, you know. It's like I'm in the humor for just kind of watching something, normally not even, I'm maybe just watching some slides and video or whatever, but not even in the humor to make any movies and stuff, but just it's a perfect time just to relax and chill out and try and find something to watch until 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, a few hours, and then that's it. So I find myself in these situations with a big extra chunk of time in the day. What's wrong, Tuco? Cut something on your paw. Huh? What is it? Is it this one? Is it the back one? I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Allez. We're on our way back through all the little yellow what are these called? They're not daisies, and they're not daffodils. Dandelions? These are things I used to know in my youth. The little yellow flowers. Little yellow flowers, I think they're dandelions. Anyway, it's beautiful. The whole field has just got this sprinkling of yellow. Things like this I never noticed before in the same way. That's what I keep going on about that inner aesthetic faculty. And this notion of you reap what you sow. You see, the words could mean different things to different people, but right now that word is just taking on a new significance. You reap what you sow is not necessarily that if you're good to people, they're good to you. It's more a case of what you see in something, what you give it, is what you take from it. You reap what you sow. Just by me talking about these flowers and saying, it makes me stop and look and think that's a beautiful picture, a beautiful moment. I could see a certain type of high-res picture of these things taken in a certain way from just above or whatever, and it would be a very nice picture. If you could paint this, it would be a wonderful painting. I could see this on my wall. This is an idea for doing a painting. You get the yellow, you mix it, you do little yellow drops on green. There's a good idea. But anyway, all those things are new to me. Most of the time I just walk through this field thinking about something else, wouldn't even notice. But that's something in me that's kind of developed really since I stopped drinking. You reap what you sow. You can only take out of something what you've put into it. And that's not just saying you have to put lots of time and effort into making something so that it's perfect. No, it means you can only take out of something what you've got stored up inside yourself. And that part kind of grows. It's like links on a chain. One thing can lead to another. Like me now, I'm thinking, that wouldn't be a bad picture. You got the browns, you got the greens, you got the yellows, and tiny little blues. So I can't paint these things. It's too good running after Clara. Terrible. Cats and dogs. Poor Clara. She lives next door, but I don't think two go do anything. I think you get a fright if the cat stopped and turned around and hissed at him. Anyway, that's the end of the walk, and that's the end of this transmission. Over and out.